I'd like to thank the Chief Minister for taking his time out and like to get straight into the issues. What is the role of private sector? And what is the role of the private sector in Bihar? According to our understanding, the private sector can only contribute if it brings in investments, if it brings in efficiency, if it brings in entrepreneurial skills. And to do that, the government must nurture the private sector. And that is the challenge. Because right now, private sector in power all over India, not just Bihar, is like sleeping with the elephant. As long as you are sleeping, everything is fine, it's okay. But the day the elephant rolls over, that's the end of private sector. Because the sector is fully controlled by the state, by the government. So we have put together a very small presentation, which I'd like the Honorable CM to bear indulgence. We said, how do we power Bihar? What are the challenges and what is the way forward? Attracting investments for the development of the power sector in Bihar. We said, let's find recommendations to galvanize Bihar to become the global destination for investors in the power sector. Bihar is competing with other states. It is competing with other countries for private investments. How does Bihar become the most attractive place? And therefore, what are the steps you can take? The advantage Bihar has is it has a very low base of power, and therefore it has very low legacy issues, and they can be tackled effectively and quickly. We want Bihar to become a Singapore. How to attract investments for development. Suggestions have been put down in a handbook, which I'm sure all of you have and the Honorable CM has, where we put down suggestions for Bihar as a part of a white paper for this conference. And we've just listed a few ideas for your kind consideration. Please set up a single window agency which will take care of issues like land acquisition, water, fuel linkage, civil aviation, environment, and so on. And we suggest that this be done by the Honorable Chief Minister, by him being the chairman, and we give him a suggestion of who all from government should be there. Please remember, this is very important at the beginning, because if private sector really has to come and make a big impact, it needs the support and the grandfathering by the government. Financial challenges faced by investors and the strategy to meet them. The government of Bihar could provide state guarantees for project finance project. That means they will provide the guarantee that they'll get paid. They don't have to provide guarantees to raise debt and equity. And therefore, this could be a way forward for government to get maximum mileage out of their rupee. What are the policy and regulatory initiatives we need to have? Maybe the BERC could declare 5-year preferential tariffs for new projects. They could have a clear-cut subsidy amount specified upfront for the weaker sections, so that the investor knows what exactly is the kind of pressure there will be on the sector. And further, this subsidy should be provided in the annual budget of the Bihar government, so that as per the Electricity Act, so that everybody knows what is the quantum of subsidy and what exactly is going to be the impact. Now, you have a choice. If you want to bring in efficiency, please unbundle the sector. Please have generation separate, transmission and distribution. So there is accountability. And so therefore, that could have an impact of private sector coming in very quickly. And during the transition period, various entities need support. Please understand that if you really want to bring private sector, why do you want to bring private sector? You want to give consumer a choice. Why do you want to give consumer a choice? So he gets the best deal. He gets the most efficient electricity available to him, and he gets the best deal possible. Why do you want that? Because and how will you get that is through competition. But how will you win competition? By bringing in market. But to bring in market, the transition is going to be painful. It is very difficult. And it will be opposed by the existing incumbents, no matter which part of India you're sitting in, and Bihar is not an exception. Or you can keep the sector as it is. And there are legacy issues which need to be addressed for Bihar specifically. For example, perhaps Bihar needs to renegotiate its contracts with the people who are supplying power. It has been done before. Various people have renegotiated contracts, governments have renegotiated contracts for a more competitive option. And today, Bihar has options for buying power from other sources also. The cross-subsidy surcharge, 75 paisa, is pretty high. Why? Because if you're trying to open access, by the time you pay the demand charges, the cross-subsidy surcharge and the legacy issues, it is almost 1 rupee 35 paisa plus 75 paisa. 2 rupees 10 paisa is the extra charge for anybody who wants to buy power from other than his existing supplier. Now, why open access? This is becoming a very interesting issue. Open access is feared by the electricity boards. It's opposed by the electricity boards. भाई हम open access दे देंगे तो हमारे सारे अच्छे consumer चले जाएंगे, हमारी cross subsidy बढ़ जाएगी, सरकार के ऊपर burden बढ़ेगा. Partly true, partly not correct. Because if you give open access and you have a surcharge like you have in Bihar, you're attracting investments. You're bringing in fresh capacity. And ultimately in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, there will be so much capacity available, competition will set in. I don't know how many of you are monitoring. Electricity prices have crashed in the country because of the addition of private sector power in the last 3 years. Electricity prices, which should be 5, 6, 7 rupees average, are down to 2 to 3 rupees now. And so it gives more options to electricity boards. This could provide necessary stimulus and can generate employment. If you have electricity 24/7 in Bihar, then you can get a lot of employment, you can get a lot of exciting things happening in the economy. We are also suggesting that Bihar could spearhead a setting up of a regional power exchange where the eastern regions of the country could trade electricity. Mr. Thakur is sitting here, he runs one of the most successful trading companies and he's also a shareholder in power trading, the exchange. He can give you some ideas, including the export of power to Nepal, Bhutan, and etc. etc. The empowerment of load dispatch center. This is a very important thing, sir, that the load dispatch center normally is a part of the electricity board and therefore they are not independent. They are already dependent on what the electricity board wants them to say. So our submission is that let this be independent, let Power Grid Corporation of India depute some people to recruit and train these people, so there is some kind of independence and confidence that the private sector knows that if for some reason his power is stranded, he is able to take that power out. There are some states in eastern India which are not allowing this with a great amount of damage. It's ironic, lot of capacity of power plants is lying closed while there is a shortage of power in this country. Now, benefits to incentivize investments, the state government could provide some benefits by way of subsidy, sales tax base. I'm sure they're doing it, but a little more clarity on solar and the renewable energy, and I'm sure we're going to get much more from Mr. Gupta on that. But very importantly, the MNRE has a guideline to give huge amount of subsidy for 2 megawatt and below renewable energy biomass-based power plants, for example. I think that is a great advantage. Bihar should take advantage of that to set up decentralized generation. And lastly, it will not only help in bringing investment in the power sector, it will also help in development of backward areas. And it will also ensure that Bihar develops itself not only into a manufacturing industrial hub, but also a services hub, including IT center, where you have a lot of young men and women who can get jobs. So green power, I've already mentioned. I only submit that perhaps Bihar could be the first state to strictly implement interchangeability of renewable energy certificates with energy efficiency certificates, which are yet to take off on the central level thanks to bureaucracy. Perhaps Bihar could cut the red tape and get cracking on that, and therefore insist that distribution companies buy energy efficiency certificates and RECs to encourage this kind of trade. Bihar can also set up the first school of its kind to train people in load dispatch system management in association with Power Grid. This is a suggestion. They could also ultimately result this into a degree for young kids who want to understand system management, because this is going to be a requirement of tomorrow. And lastly, we have suggested that Bihar could set up a school for regulators, a cadre for regulators, which is desperately required, because as regulatory commissions are being set up, we need more and more qualified people. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward under the guidance of the Honorable Chief Minister for Power in Bihar, reaching the unreached and empowering them. Thank you.